This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of SB. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
This is Chef Casey Thompson, and you're listening to the Coarse Grind Podcast with Shawn Rosler.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 118 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. It's getting to the point where a former English teacher really shouldn't be counting this high, but here I am with you as always, host creator Shawn Rosler. How is everyone doing this evening? With Top Chef All-Stars on the horizon, I'll admit my mind has been drifting a little bit to past guests, never mind the fact that 7 out of the 14 chef testants, that's 50% people, on the new season have sat virtually, of course, across from me on this show, their former Coarse Grind Podcast interviews. But I got to thinking about other guests who've left an impact on me, and ones who I see pop up in my news feed more times than I can count. And I always think, man, it'd be nice if we could catch up. Well, tonight, I'm lucky and honored enough to have had one of my favorite guests of all time think the very same thing when I simply asked it of him. Receiving classical French training at La Varenne École de Cuisine in Paris and starting his culinary career in his home state of New York, tonight's guest worked at places like Club Pierre in West Hampton, 13 Barrow Street, 44 in Hell's Kitchen, Vine, and at the Supper Club in Manhattan, where he cooked alongside a certain hero of mine. Perhaps you've heard of him. A move to Sin City found him working with Chef Rick Moonen, but by 2007 our guest sat down in Dallas to take up at Rosewood Mansion on Turtle Creek, earning 2 5-star reviews. Spoon Bar and Kitchen opened. Then came Knife in May 2014. A reinvention of the steakhouse experience, the chef-driven restaurant features all natural born and raised Texas beef, pork, and lamb in dry-aged prime cuts and specialty cuts such as chuck flap, beef tongue, and akaushi beef. Among its accolades, it was named one of Eater National's most anticipated openings, Esquire Magazine's Best New Restaurants, Zagat's Hottest New Restaurants, Maxim's America's Best Steakhouse Specialties, D Magazine's Best Steakhouse in Dallas, 2015 and 2016, and featured on Esquire Network's Restaurant Revolution. But here's the thing. A lot can happen in a few short years, and I believe nothing could be more true for our guest. Not that he needs anything more on his plate, pardon the pun, but let's bring him on so you can hear all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, my guest this evening, 3-time James Beard Best Southwest Chef semifinalist and 2-time Top Chef contestant, and apparently one of Dave Grohl's besties. We'll hear about that, I'm sure. The Chef John Tesar. How's it going, sir?
I'm great, Shawn. How are you, buddy?
Good. I have to drop that because you don't understand the speed with which my wife would leave me if Dave Grohl ever showed up at the door. It's cool. I embrace it. I accept it. It's truth. It's fine.
I think I would leave my family to hang out with Dave Grohl too. So.
Well, there you go. Now it's universal. Now it's non-binary experience anyway. Folks new to the program, folks with terrible short-term memories like myself, we typically roll with starters, mains, and afters. However, with that said, since Chef Tesar is a repeat guest, y'all can go back to episode 52 and hear the original interview and hear about his revelations coming off of his second tour of Top Chef, which was fantastic. And in reading an article today, which I'm sure we'll dig into a little bit, Top Chef changed this guy's life. It's changed my life because I have a show practically because of it. But it really changed his life in a lot of ways. So roll back, check out 52. If you're listening, hit pause or whatever you do. Go back, listen to it, and then come and pick this one up. So, without further ado, John, wow, you are an insanely busy human being these days. So let's take it back 3 years ago. You had Spoon Bar and Kitchen and Knife, correct? Those were the two, and you had just dropped, I believe, the cookbook.
Well, what had happened is after my Top Chef season 10, rather, I opened up Spoon, and we kept Spoon till we had it for 3 years. So that was about 3 years ago. Knife is about to go into its 6th year.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we closed Spoon because Knife was such a huge success, and Spoon was critically acclaimed. But we didn't. It was very small. We didn't make a lot of money, and it required a lot of time and due diligence. And Knife was just taking off. So we kind of just we made a shift. But here we are, 4 years later, and we're about to open up Outer Reef in Laguna Beach, which is a reincarnation of Spoon, but on the West Coast, using all types of seafood from Baja to Seattle, sustainable seafood as well.
I love it. And you know, you bring up something important, and I think maybe just by sheer passive absorption, I've come to understand concepts like this over the years. But, you know, I think people react very, like, one way or another when a restaurant closes, but it's not exactly, one, an easy thing to keep one going, and two, if you've got more than one, you've got to make some hard decisions, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point in my career, we've been so lucky with Knife, and we'll get into that because I think people look at restaurants as restaurants, and I look at them as a business at this point in my life.
Yep.
And you're right. You know, early on in a chef's career, you kind of cook for yourself. You're trying to make your bones, as Bourdain would say, and you hope to get discovered. You know, it's kind of like, I look at it as the analogy as a line cook is someone who thinks they're kind of funny, you know, and a sous chef and a chef, the cuisine can be like a stand-up comedian, you know, and then if you're really funny at that, then you get a shot at like TV, you know, like, or, you know, agents start to look at you. And that's what the life of a chef is, you know. You have people starting to look at you, and they find you entertaining or interesting. And it's because of it used to be just because of what you cooked, but now it can be because of what you look like, who you are, your race, your creed, everything. The world is wide open, and there is another business that's being formed, and you can see that if you do follow the trades, if you do follow other. You know, I hate to use the word celebrity chef, but, you know, other notable chefs who are television savvy or notable, is that in secondary markets and all across the country, there are these hotels that are about 10 years or older. Some of them are in iconic locations, but they never had freestanding restaurants or chef-driven restaurants because, you know, like the restaurant in Laguna at Marriott Cliffs Resort in Laguna Beach, it's a spa. It's a beautiful vista above the Dana Point Marina, and people have weddings there all the time. And the food and beverage department runs like a clock, and they make, you know, $12, $13 million a year just doing weddings and corporate functions. And they don't know anything about a fine dining or a seated contemporary restaurant. So with the success of Knife, first really the success of Spoon, because Spoon led to Knife. With an investment company that owned the hotel that used to dine at Spoon all the time. So, you know, these hotels, they vet you. If they look at you like you're some sort of talent or entertainer and what you can bring to them, and if you can bring a profit, and that's really the caveat, Shawn, is that Knife has made over $8 million for this Highlands hotel in the last 5.5 years.
God.
So other hotel people... It's a phenomenon. It really is. And it's only 73 seats. People look at it, and we don't cook the books or anything. I don't even get 100% of the profit because it was the first licensing deal I ever did. And so you sign these deals, and like you're a consultant, so you have the option to like, you know, kind of dial it in or really take it on. And I took it on with the critical success and the financial success. It's led me to other conversations with other hedge fund guys who are now buying hotels and you know, parking their money in the equity, hoping that the real estate values will go up. And the business is changing. You know, everything rolls over 4 to 5 years. They sell it, they refinance it. It's a whole new business. And now they're looking for name chefs who are not, you know, Michael Mina, Wolfgang Puck, who ask for absorptive amounts of money, you know, to license their name to a hotel. So with all that knowledge and experience, I looked at it and said, you know what, I'm not Michael Mina, I'm not Wolfgang Puck.
No.
But if you want me to come for your hotel, I'll come in cheaper, and I'm going to make you money, and you're going to keep all the money, but this is how you're going to pay me. And I'm going to have control of my restaurant. And that seems like a rather shallow existence, or rather, like not a very stable existence long term, because these deals are usually 3 to 5 years on paper, and hopefully they renew. But if you're able to put 4 or 5 of them together, and you're able to put a team and put people, your friends and your long-term employees and new people, and give them opportunity and guide them after all these years of experience in the restaurant business, this is where my career is now.
Yeah.
And the notoriety from Top Chef really helped.
Sure.
And season 14, being able to go back on and show people my emotional growth and really basically show them who I was at the core.
Yeah.
But a lot more comfortable with myself. And here I am 4 years later. I'm a dad. I'll have 6 restaurants at the end of the year. We're also negotiating a brand new hotel in Austin, Texas that I can't talk about. But, we just signed a Ritz-Carlton in Grand Lakes Resort, Orlando, Florida. That used to be Norman Van Aken. Okay, now, so I have yet to wrap my head around all of this stuff. And we also have to, we have to execute this and make it into the company and live up to the reputation that we've been given the blessings to have. And it's come full circle. Like, I've hired Gerald Sunbright, season 14, who went off on episode 1 that I had a Southern Dead Quickfire with, to be the chef de cuisine, because he was working on Marco Island. He was emulating a steakhouse, kind of looking at a lot of the stuff around the country that people like Angie Marr and Adam Perry Lang and myself were doing.
Yeah.
And really, kind of like wanting to do it. So we became friends. Over the last few years, we've traveled. We've even cooked with Jacques Pepin at Aston Food and Wine, thanks to Michelle.
Oh, my God.
Shawn. And I've watched all these. I've watched people like Sylvia and Gerald and DJ and Jamie, and I'm not leaving anybody out. This Casey and Brooke, and Sheldon, they're already in a league, all, of their own. And so to watch all these people come from the show and be able to interact with them and cook with them, but especially to take Gerald and become, not only a mentor, but a partner with him.
Yeah.
It was a great opportunity. And one of the many things that comes from these things, because even though I do have a family and I care about money, and it does allow you to be a little bit more comfortable in life and make wiser decisions or easier decisions, I do this for the love of it. And my dream has always been to be a restaurateur as I got older. I think it's just, I have a lot of experience with this as a chef. I don't want to work on the line anymore. I still enjoy cooking. And now I get to go from concept to concept to concept. And I get to work with different chefs and different people. And an amazing pastry chef that I have at the Highland, and even an incredible French pastry chef at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando. And I get to teach myself all about West Coast seafood, because I'm now taking this new concept where we use primarily East Coast and European seafood, and I'm going to make a sustainable seafood restaurant that's specific to the West Coast and the Pacific Ocean. So it's not like you're selling out. I mean, I think you can do this and sell out, but it's not it's my desire to show the culinary world that you don't need magazines, you don't need awards. They're all nice things,
right.
And they make you feel good. But you really need to become a businessman, and you really need to be a chef and a student of history, and you need to put your head down and work, and these good things will happen.
Yeah,
and I've learned this firsthand.
Yeah, there's a small handful of people from the show. I'm gonna, skip form here. We turned 5 years, 100 episodes. 100th was another live show, and we're already back at it. Like I said, this is 118, and so I've got this roster that runs pretty deep of people from the industry, of people from Top Chef, and I can honestly say without a doubt, this is not blowing smoke up anyone's ass. I truly, absolutely, 100% adore your story front to back. Easily top 5 stories that I've ever had the honor to share. And just to hear you express it like that, even at the point that you're at now, it's just about the love of the game. Like, that's someone who's not only turned their ship around and righted it, but is full steam ahead even at this point. That's incredible, man.
Well, it's the validation that I always needed, because deep down inside, the problem was, and this happened to me in athletics too, I was very successful at a very young age, where I won an event. My grandfather was an Olympic gymnast, and I was very active in gymnastics, and I got put in this national competition, and I won it at the age of 13.
Yeah.
And it kind of screwed my head up a little bit because, like when something that phenomenal and that large happens to you, and the adulation and the feeling of gratification that comes from it, I've been chasing that in the culinary world my whole life. And I think because of that sports moment, I carried, and also the way I'm wired, there's certain things about me that when I was younger, I had abandonment issues, and and that affects you in your business life. That affects you under pressure in the kitchen. And when we live in this competitive, high-paced world of being a chef, and you have all these people who are on TV and magazines, and they're the best of, and the newest of, and the greatest of, and it kind of messes with your head a little bit, And I always knew, even watching, meeting Bourdain at formerly Joe's, and then 20 years later, having him be not a culinary, but a journalistic television icon and a worldwide brand.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen some people in this business really come out of the darkness and become the leaders of and the inspiration for what the majority of our business do on a day-to-day basis, or what they look up to. Yeah. And you see it because all of the writers, all of the TV personalities, whoever they're chasing, whoever they want to hang out with, whatever chef that they're glorifying in the moment, that chef has got something going on. Yeah. And then when you're younger, you have a tendency to kind of resent that and look at it from an unrealistic point of view of like trying to find the negativity in it, or trying to find the flaw. Like I'm sure, like for years and years and years, people like Bourdain used to make fun of Emeril and Bobby Flay because they were on television.
Yep.
And they accused them of not having real substance. But then when you grow, you get a little older, you have a little experience, and you see what television and being a celebrity is like, and you can see what it can do to you, good, bad, and indifferent, and then you have a little empathy for those people rather than resentment or envy. And I think that's a syndrome in our business.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And now,
honestly, that was one of the coolest media moments when Bourdain had Emeril on. I think it was still no reservations at that point, and they sat across the table and broke bread together. It was, it was funny because the way they cut it. Yeah. Like Emeril knew the shit he said about him, and Tony knew the shit he said about him, and they cut it so that there was like 5 to 7 seconds of just dead silence, and they kept going back and forth between them, and they weren't saying anything. And as a viewer, you're sitting there going, oh my God, are they actually going to like knock down Drag Out now? What's going to happen? And it starts, and Emeril is gracious, and Tony is apologetic, and I'm like, holy shit, we were all played. Yeah, of course he's going to say shit. Like that was the nature of Bourdain's persona. But then, like...
Yeah, Tony was a pot stirrer back then, and Emeril has always been a gracious, giving gentleman to many, many people. I've witnessed it before. I actually met him, or he was a judge on season 14. I had met him through a friend of mine in Florida at the Naples wine auction, and he was the chef de cuisine. I mean, anytime I've ever seen Emeril, he's been nothing but, vivacious, entertaining, and gracious to everybody who's around, So Bourdain had no choice but to embrace him.
Had to.
This is what staying celebrity and successful will do to you. It will temper you. That validates what I was just saying, even outside of my own life, that Tony had to temper his viewpoint because he had frustrations. He's this talented writer and orator. He was using the culinary profession to find his way to that, and through those moves, through those moments, even through that frustration and probably rude behavior or envious behavior, he found himself and propelled himself to be what he wanted to be. So I find that people who are like myself or like Tony when he was early on, we're just frustrated because we live in a very competitive world, and we're just looking for people to pay attention to us and find us.
Yeah, no question, man. And thinking back to episode 52, again, if folks want to hit the rewind, they want to go catch that episode, we talked a little bit at length. I'm a huge mental health advocate, and I've gone through my issues myself with having been brought up gifted, high expectations, and then you hit college and you hit the skids. And these high expectations set you up for failure, basically. I don't think there's not a lot of other paths around it. And, we talked in a similar fashion about that. I think, in your high stress, high strung, like you're only as good as your last plate. Like, damn, that's a lot to carry on your back.
there's a lot of stress in this business, but what I don't know. I think with the deals, with the trust of businessmen and brands like Ritz-Carlton and JW Marriott and Marriott Worldwide and HEI and all these hedge funds that do these deals, the fact that they trust you with a restaurant and this amazing opportunity, the visibility, to be at a Ritz-Carlton, it puts me in a very, very exclusive group of chefs. And I look to me, and I'm not just saying this because the deal, to me, that's more prestigious than winning any type of award, because Marriott Worldwide has come to chefs like Tracy Desjardins, Ian Ferring, I mean, Eric Repair, John George. So I look at these iconic chefs who have been tapped to go into a Ritz-Carlton. I consider that some pretty rarefied air. And, years ago I would be like, kind of insecure about it, or like, I don't know how it happened, or even when I was on that show, Restaurant Revolution, and all the other people were Jeremiah Tower, Tom Colecchio, Wolfgang Puck, and I was just like, how did I get here? So I think I've always had a little bit of, emotional arrested development when it came to my own abilities.
Sure. And
I got in my own way in the sense that I didn't have the confidence to really believe in myself, and I didn't have the money or the backing behind me. And I don't think I was ready at that time. I was meant to be a late bloomer. You look at me physically, and my age. I think that everybody has a path in life, and I'm so lucky that I have it now, because I have all of that other stuff behind me, and it really is time to pay it forward.
Absolutely.
And it's a relief. It's a relief to hire two young chef de cuisines at these new projects, and because they're going to bring fresh life to me and challenge me. I look for that. I don't want to become a flabby old flat chef just dialing it in, doing food festivals and saying, remember when I was this person's famous chef, or remember when I replaced Dean, and remember the mansion, and remember the fire. Everything's remember. Because for me, it's like, what am I going to do next? What realistically, without my ego, that can be beneficial to my employees, the people who put their trust in me, and the culinary world and the diners that come into my restaurant every night. What can I do to make them happy?
Yeah. Because
there's nothing else that I need in life anymore. And when you first met me, I probably needed just about everything in life.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's bizarre that this journey that of mine has been documented, first by Bourdain and books, and then second on Top Chef, and now just generally in my life as a chef, and the trust of all of these, wealthy businessmen to make them money. So it's really a blessing. But you got to put your ass out there and work for it.
And I mean, that's just it. I think a lot of the hang up today, not to play the age game, but a lot of folks coming out now, expect that big budget deal, that TV show right out of culinary school, and like, you got to do the work, man. I think I would like to say, if I created a dictionary of the culinary industry, if you looked under workhorse, it would say C. John Tesar. That would be my guess on how that would be lined up. And by the way, what's that?
And then the Latin word for perseverance.
Yeah, there you go. Which I'm gonna have to look up. It's been a while since I taught English. But to bring it even more full circle, I wanted to tell you that Beth Aretsky says hello. Beth and I, we've done 2 episodes, and she and Chef Pardis actually came and stayed the weekend when we did the 100th show, and she was my co-host here in Bloomsburg. Wow. So it was pretty rad. And we were, speaking of like weird, because I'm sure you live it all the time, and it was always my goal to live it in some way, shape, or form. And I have to tell you, because I know you'll probably get a kick out of this. We were watching an old Travel Channel DVD of No Reservations. It was the China episode, so it was season 1 or 2, and Beth was on the road with him at this point. And we're sitting down in my movie room after a long day of drinking, eating, whatever. And Beth comes rolling down. She goes, "Oh, hey, what are you watching?" I'm like, "Oh, well, you might recognize it." And I sat there and I watched it with her for an hour, and it was like sitting with the fucking narrator, man. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. And so,
that's the amazing. I don't think Beth gets enough credit. She comes. Her dad is one of the most iconic restaurateurs of all time, and I don't think people have ever made the connection. And Beth is a great chef in her own right and has overcome a lot of different things in her life.
Yep.
And she was Bourdain's assistant, building up to what I call the glory years, because
damn right.
One of the things that's upset me, other than Tony's departure, is that the media after his suicide chose to only go back to I think CNN put out a book, and they spoke to everybody that was famous that knew Tony for 15 minutes or even kind of adulated him from the distance.
Yeah.
And God bless the tribute, and it's a pity. The whole thing's a pity, and I don't want to really go on about it.
Sure.
I think about it. I think about it constantly. It's just that it's been, nobody knows. I don't think even Eric knows, to be honest with you. And at this point, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
And I just feel sad about it because it's such a loss. So I don't spend my time analyzing the gossip or wondering why. I look at it as a loss, and I have fond memories.
Sure.
And but getting back to Beth was very instrumental in all of that. And there was a time, I think, when Tony got married to Octavia, that he kind of, and I've been talking to a couple of autobiographers lately who, I don't know, authorized or unauthorized. I know there was one that's being written by Tony's writing partner.
Okay.
At 0.0.
Yeah.
And I spoke to another gentleman out of New York the other day who was writing an autobiography and wanted to know about my relationships with Tony at a younger, before all of the success and what it was like. Yeah. And I've seen some of these things are going to be very positive, and I think some people are delving into the dark side of him, which is quite interesting. And this often happens to famous people after they're gone. They've been adulated so and up on a pedestal that when they're gone, that people in life that are just looking for the reasons why they're gone or reasons that led up to it, and then they find other things about their personality and they want to put them in literature, I guess. Write about it.
Yeah. People want that. People want that dirty angle, that everything. I mean, look, from square one, and you'll and I'm actually sure you'll appreciate the shit out of this too. I only met Beth because my wife's sorority sister was her neighbor in Manhattan. So talk about goddamn serendipity leading to some great things. And after our second episode together, she texted me and she's like, hey, we're doing this, because you know how she talks. She'll kill me when she hears this.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. I'm sitting in my car. Hey, you want to come cook an event with us for My Lucky Noodles at the time? I said, sure. Yeah, what the hell? So I pack my knife roll up and I pack some beers in the car and I drive over to her house. And I'll never forget this. Pardis, I'm not sure if you know Mike Pardis. He rolls in from CIA, and I shake his hand and everything, and they go into the kitchen. I give him the space and everything. And the first thing I hear some back and forth, and then I hear, what do you mean he's not a chef? Oh, Jesus, Beth! And I'm like, oh my God, I'm really going to have to work hard to prove myself to this dude. But we prepped till 3 a.m, got up 6 a.m, went to the site, and we did a breakfast lunch program, congee for breakfast, and then a cold smoked brat with kimchi slaw, which I prepped in the walk-in, which was basically where they were selling the beer cases out of. So it was a nice balmy 40 something in there, and but it was summer, so it was nice.
Yeah, Beth is a character. I've followed her for years, and she's a sweet person and a great mother, and good chef. And
yes.
It was such a coincidence that she became Tony's assistant. And she kind of knew more about me through Tony than I had known about her when we had first met.
Sure.
And Orlando and all the people she's hung out with. Because by the time that whole little group, got together, I was kind of like out on my own.
You were on your own, yeah.
And trying to make it again, and kind of out of the clique.
Yeah.
Because Tony was very charismatic, and they followed him like the Pied Piper at that time.
He was for sure. So, man, speaking of making it on your own, I know, again, you're a busy man, and I don't want to get into even like the standard questioning format. Again, people, if you want to hear it, go back, listen to episode 52. The man's time is valuable, and I got to take it for everything it's worth here. So I want to hear, like, okay, so we're looking at this outer reef. And I pulled up the article right now, folks. If you're interested, check out eater.com, Eater Los Angeles specifically. Top Chef alum John Tesar brings West Coast surf and turf to Dana Point. So obviously we know what you're doing with it. Again, this is what, number 4, number 5 out of 6 at this point. we know what you're doing with it. Where did you have that inspiration that you went, oh shit, you know what I'd like to do? This. When did that happen?
Well, people had just after the success of Knife, people are like, okay, well, tonight now, are you ever going to bring Spoon back?
Yeah.
And my response would be, I really don't want to. It's a whole other conversation. I don't want to go on a sidebar, but I don't want to own a freestanding restaurant anymore because I really love my relationships with the hotels, and the price of commercial real estate in America is really trying to devastate the restaurant business, and it's very difficult for even the greatest of chefs to survive these days. So that's one aspect of it. But the creation of Outer Reef was number one. First, we sit on a bluff in Dana Point, in the cliffs of Laguna. It's right there on like kind of the edge of it, but it is technically Dana Point. And we're right over the marina, so you have a view of the harbor, Doheny Beach, and to the extreme right, you watch the sunset over the Pacific Ocean every night. But the restaurant specifically looks out through the harbor into what I would think is this outer reef.
Yeah.
And I said, well, this is the opportunity to bring the seafood to where it belongs, when you're looking at the water. And so we're 18 months behind schedule. But in that 18 months, I've been able to make relationships with fishermen, really work out the concept, and take time to do these other projects. So, sometimes time, when you're comfortable, time can be an advantage as opposed to if you're opening up your first restaurant or you're opening up a freestanding restaurant and you have to start paying rent and all of this other stuff, and then you're at a race to open. Yeah. When you do something in these hotel scenarios, you better be prepared, to sit back for 12 to 18 months for the bureaucracy, for the paperwork. In California, the fire codes, the building inspectors, the coastal conservancy, because you can't cut into the earth or block the view of the ocean or touch a tree.
Right.
So these are all things that are not culinary related, but you have to learn to be a businessman these days in the restaurant business. Like if you open a restaurant in a casino in Las Vegas, you have to understand the politics of a hotel and how it works. And it's like being in a mall. Like I have a knife in a mall in Willow Bend. I can sometimes at Christmas time move double or triple the volume of what we do. And how do you adjust for that and not alienate your year-round customers and stuff like that? So there's a lot of different. It's a separate business, but it's a business within a business. So to speak.
Yeah, it's the same concept. If you want to start a food truck, you got to be a mechanic too. You've got to know everything you need to do as part of that venture. And I mean,
I've never been an go ahead, Shawn. I've never been an esoteric, chef. I've never had the need to reinvent the shapes of things or to impress people with my scientific or my organic chemistry. It happens naturally through the products that we use and the simple approach, and I've learned that over the years that less is more. And, with the success of Knife, I mean, look at Esquire just named us one of the most relevant restaurants of the decade.
Yeah.
Because we reinvented the steakhouse. When I got that one, like I said about awards, they're easy to talk. I like talking about awards when you get them or when you're on top of your profession because it doesn't sound like sour grapes.
Yeah.
But if we all look at awards and all of this stuff, it's just a very small, kind of like superficial part of our business that I think we put too much emphasis on. Because people really need to focus on these business things that I'm speaking of and learning how to do that and sustain, because the life of a restaurant is not 24 or 36 months.
No,
and I think you're going to see in the next few years, you're going to see a lot of really notable chefs and some people that I know from Top Chef who have opened their own restaurants or have multiple restaurants. And they're going to have difficulties sustaining all of their projects because the rent, because of commercial real estate rents. And that's the only reason, not because they're not good businessmen or because their food isn't any good. It's because the rents are becoming outrageous and everything is expensive. The minimum wage is up, food is expensive, alcohol is expensive. There's competition all over the places. I hate to be a naysayer, but there's almost too many restaurants. It's like, but who am I to discourage people from getting in the restaurant business?
No, I mean, if they feel it, go with it. I mean, even in SoCal too, Mei Lin from season 12 is opening up a restaurant called Nightshade, I believe. So everybody's in it, everybody's opening it. But I honestly, and this is again, I'd say it with you not on the mic, but I appreciate the ability just because I know how busy you are. going to Foo Fighter shows. To say it to you on the mic, it's that I appreciate, borderline love, the practicality of you as a chef. And I mean, you're one of my favorites for a reason. And I think it really is that, like, you don't, first of all, now as a dad, you don't have time for bullshit. I feel that completely. But, you know, when it comes to the frilly frou-frou, you know how it works. You've been around long enough. I hate to use the term elder statesman, but, like, I hate to break it to you, John, you kind of are at this point.
I always tell my employees I'll be the last man standing. You know what I mean?
God, love it.
Hopefully the youthful nature will carry over to the internal parts and be as good to me as the external parts. So, yeah, but I'm not slowing down a bit, and I've had things I've had to overcome with middle age, and believe it or not, most of them is mental rather than physical, because as I've become more successful or freer, financially freer, I've made room to get to the things that really were stopping me from being happy or being successful, or got in the way of my professionalism when I was younger. Yeah. And that just goes to show you that, like, life goes in stages, and if you still have stuff you got to deal with, when you free up space, that stuff is still there, and you still got to deal with it.
Oh man,
and I have been, and that's been the greatest triumph of all. Is that recently I dealt with the fact that I was depressed about certain things, and and I can emulate with Tony, like, traveling so much, and taking things to sleep work, to deal with anxiety or claustrophobia because you're always on a plane or in a hotel room or you don't have enough sleep, or you have to prepare yourself for something where you have to, like, be an orator or speak to people, and you have to put all of your personal life and what's ever bothering you aside, because you're a professional and you have to be present, and it's not your job to bring your shit to these things, or even to your personal relationships. You have to deal with them, and that includes your employees at work. You have to be in a good state of mind, and these days you have to inspire people constantly. You not only have to provide a life for them, or a place for them to work. This is a lifestyle, and you have to get them to trust you or me, in my instance, as a brand or as a boss, that I'm going to take care of them, and I'm not just going to, like, keep it all for myself and be greedy and just disappear one day. That's not who I am.
Yeah,
I don't have illusions of grandeur, but I have responsibility. Yeah, I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, man. And being a parent on top of all that, I've got three boys, 12, 10, and 6, and they are my moral barometers. They are my measuring sticks of, well, you better get to the gym even though you don't feel like it. They are my barometers of, how I am, how I'm feeling. And, again, going back to our previous episode, again, huge proponent of mental health. I too, diagnosed clinical depression, take something for it and feel the better for it. And there's no shame in saying so. So, folks out there, if you're listening, like, here's two grown ass men telling you it's really okay to not be okay. So you just got to step up and take it and accept it and talk about it.
Yeah, therapy is the best thing in the world.
Yes.
And children, I think that parenting stage will definitely straighten you out quickly.
Yes, you have no choice in the matter, really. I'm just going to be honest.
No, but they are the inspiration. My sons really, they keep me grounded, and when I'm on the road and I am a little sad or missing or melancholy from just traveling so much. Yeah. Because it does wear on you. Sure. When I was younger, I used to think, hotel rooms are turning into prisons. I get out a lot. And you do. You get on the road, and you have to tell yourself that every night's not a party. And you don't want to be in the hotel bar every night you're out. You know what I mean? So you have to, and you don't want to just be wandering around in the hotel room, like, staring at the television set. So, those nights that you're not working or in between. So there's something to it. It's glamorous, but at the same time, there's a finesse and a way to handle everything to make it healthy and positive. And that's what I just try to do.
Yeah.
Really, I've cut out all the bullshit.
Yes.
And I think that's when you have the validation. That's the time. This is the thing that made me crazy about successful people or famous people, is that they become successful, they become wealthy, and they turn into fucking assholes.
Yes.
Pardon my French.
Yes. No, you're right. You're right, man. Spill it.
I think when you are successful, or you are happy, and you are financially comfortable, or whatever that situation that puts you in that Zen movement, and you have a beautiful family and all this other stuff, this is when you need to pay it forward. This is when you need to put the hey me, throw it out the window and say it is all about the kids. It is all about the employees. It is all about the significant other, your partner, and not make it about yourself. And chefs have a really hard time doing that, man, because you got to push so hard, and then the public makes us these superheroes that we just totally are.
Yeah.
I think chefs are probably some of the. I think that's what that's the fascination, is that we're such flawed human beings, but people make us out to be such, gifted, lofty individuals.
Yeah, well, no, it rolls back to the whole pirate ship analogy. Between Beth and Tony both, the pirate crew. That's the whole theme.
Yeah.
Like you're misfits. But listen, man, I believe as an outsider, like I'm gonna tell you, you can say misfits. That shift that I worked prepping the night and then cooking the next day, dude, I had to sleep 12 hours to catch my body back up with that. Like, it is a race, dude. And I mean, I hung in there, man. 84 of them I made. And it was the first dish on the menu to 86. I felt good about that. Walked out, cracked a beer, drove the 2.5 hours home, and I slept like the dead. I was done.
I'll tell you, but I just had a great week, great 10 days. I do this fundraiser here in Dallas for Haitian relief, where they raise money and they build schools in Haiti. And then kind of the reward or the friendship is the lady who is the hostess of this dinner invites me to her home at the Yellowstone Club. But I do dinners there 2 nights a week.
Nice.
Because two of the nights that I'm there, because I want to do that for them again, and it's friendly and there's guests, and it's nice to have a good meal after snowboarding or skiing all day long.
Sure.
And then I ran off to LA. I flew to LA, went down to Palm Springs, did a wine dinner for Tusk Winery and another scholarship fund there for a club in Palm Springs. And then I ran back to Dallas and did a dinner here. And I know what you feel. I had to take yesterday. I had my son, but at the same time, I was just sitting in a chair going like, wow, that was fun 10 days you just had there, buddy. It's wear and tear, and then you have to also be charming and personal, and, you don't have to drink. That's a fallacy. So I drink less and less now, too. That's something, I save it for special occasions where I used to rip it up.
Sure.
Notoriously, because I was good at it. That's the worst part about being good at something like that is one day you wake up and, only Keith Richards is really good at it. That's what I say.
I want a chance to smoke his ashes. That's all I'm saying, man.
He's a badass. And you talk about Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl and I are not really friends. We're acquaintances, and I've had the pleasure. I mean, really the pleasure, outside of the celebrity, outside of the musical genius, of meeting the individual who is an amazing person.
Yeah.
And if you ever have the opportunity to meet Dave Grohl and have a conversation with him outside of the world of his rock stardom, you're just going to find out he's like the nicest guy in the world, and his family and his friends and everybody around him. And I've met him a few times through associations. One of my childhood friends married Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, no shit.
And,
okay.
Taylor Hawkins. Yeah, Chad Smith's wife is Nancy Mack, who I grew up with in the Hamptons. Her brother's ballet partner. So, long-time association. So I met, there's 60 degrees of separation because Taylor Hawkins is friends with Chad. And then I have a friend in New York who everybody knows, Billy Durney, who runs Hometown Barbecue now in Miami, and he's got all these other new places going. But Billy was in private security, and his wife was Eddie Vedder's assistant. And so I've gone to a couple of shows with Billy and quickly met Dave. But this summer, Bruce Coleman from Top Chef. And
also a
Chef
friend of the Coarse Grind Podcast.
Yes, has been cooking with Dave, doing these barbecue things in Los Angeles, because Bruce has gotten into barbecue. He's opened a barbecue restaurant. some other friends that have barbecue places in LA also. And they were coming to Texas to do a charity for Dimebag, which they just did last week, and they do one in Santa Ana, California.
Nice.
And they do one here in Arlington. Dimebag, if anybody doesn't know, is the guitar player for Tesar.
Dimebag Gerald, motherfuckers. Yep,
from Arlington, Texas. So this group of bikers and fans, after Dimebag was shot, sadly, on stage in Minnesota at a concert, pay tribute to him and raise money for his foundation every year. And Dave, long term, people listen to the Foo Fighters and Nirvana, but Dave, I believe, I'm not speaking out of school, I hope I'm not, but from my understanding, Dave is a punker, from way, way back when, spike hair. Dave's first love is punk music, and you see the way he pounds those drums. It's amazing. But so Bruce told me they were coming to Texas, and he needed some help setting up for the Dimebag thing, and we just went all out, and put Dave up for 5 days, and he's the sweetest guy, and he had an entourage of friends, and with Bruce, and we cooked, and I think because of that hospitality, he stayed close. We're going to cook again, and just recently his mother wrote a cookbook, not a cookbook, she wrote a book about rock stars and their sons.
Nice.
And Dave's people called me 2 weeks ago and said, we're shooting a new series like we did Sonic Highway, and now we're doing this around my mother's book and the mothers of rock stars. So Dave invited me to cook in his studio in Northridge, California for his mom and 15 rock stars' moms. One of his daughters doing dessert, and Dave and his other daughter, who he's been taking on tour, are doing the entertainment. This will be an episode, I think, on some Netflix or some streaming channel very soon. So this is the kindness and the consideration and the beauty of this guy. And you wonder why people are that successful and that famous. And first of all, like when you see the man, super talented. I mean, the privilege of not really being a close friend, but having proximity to someone this talented is that they trust you a little bit, and you can ask them questions about, like, I ask them questions about Nirvana, which I wouldn't normally just say, like, Dave, tell me a Nirvana story, In the right moment, in the right time, you can, and it's a treasure of life. And like if you think talking to me is interesting, talking to Dave Grohl's like out of control, and then you're around him, and like the whole world wants to be his friend and feels like they know him.
Sure.
And at that moment, you just got to step back and you just watch Dave Grohl.
Watch Dave Grohl be Dave Grohl.
It's father, businessman, rock star, songwriter, genius, barbecue fanatic. He really is like one of the world's special people. So, I thank Bruce for making us even, closer. But, it's just amazing being around the guy. So I feel lucky. That's how blessed my life has been these days. And it's nothing about notoriety or fame. It's just quality of life and great people inspiring you to do more and be better at what you do.
Absolutely, man. And hey, I'll tell you what, I think that's probably as best a place to land the plane as I think we're gonna find. Chef John Tesar. Let me rattle down the list, man. Obviously outside of the Foo Fighters and Dimebag Darrell references, which, man, I'm a Pantera fan from back in the day. I didn't make that connection, and now that I have, I love you even more, so it's getting awkward. Knife, looking at Knife, man, knifedallas.com.
Think how I feel.
What's that?
I said, think how I feel.
I know, right?
Plus, Bruce calls me the other day and goes, "You want to cook at Willie Nelson's house?"
Get the fuck out.
Sure.
Really?
It's that crazy.
All right, listen. Hey, Greta, if you're listening to this episode, my dear wife Greta, John Tesar is the guy to hit up to talk to Dave. So there you go. I'm just going to drop that there. There you go. It's on you, Dave. It's on you, buddy. KnifeDallas.com, KnifePlano.com, KnifeBurgers.com, Outer Reef coming soon. Let me get the address to that. 25135 Park Lantern, Dana Point, California. Gonna be insane. The Ritz-Carlton Orlando coming soon as well.
Grand Lakes Resort at the Ritz-Carlton, Knife and Spoon. So it's a combination of knife and kind of Outer Reef, but we're keeping the Spoon name because it was weird to call it Knife and Outer Reef. So Knife and Spoon worked out better.
I like that. I think that's good. And Folks, as you have questions about it, info@knifesteakhouse.com. Email them, let them know. Talking about the man, the myth, the legend himself, John Tesar. Check him out, johntesar.com. Facebook,
Follow me
Insta.
on Instagram.
Yep.
Chef John Tesar.
Chef John Tesar on the Insta. And again, man, I can't appreciate it enough. I know you're one of the small handful that I just text periodically. I'm like, hey, how's it going? How's things? How's everything? And I got to tell you, it means the world when I see that you're doing well. And I'm sure it does to all the listeners. So again, John Tesar, new man because of Top Chef. You are absolutely the best. We love having you on. And thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate the support. And it's always fun talking to you. I know I talk a lot, but there's a lot to say.
That's the best, man. That is the best. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 118 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me this evening again, the multi-restauranted, multi-talented, and just incredible human being, Chef John Tesar. Our producer, as always, has been the lovely, voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out his Cinematic Pig's Feet podcast with yours truly next episode. And our next episode here on the Coarse Grind Podcast will be number 119. Stay tuned. Are you passing through central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.